my goal setting accomplishment this past year has increased. And I wish I've got some goals that I set in January. I don't remember how many I hit. But in terms of my effectiveness in goal setting, it has gone up, I'm going to say at least 70%. And I'm just trying to be conservative. I'm not trying to be sanguine or exaggerate, or I'm really trying to be genuine and really think. But because I didn't do the math beforehand, but I think, no joke, well, I mean, and I probably hit at least 60 to 70% of the goals that I set for this year, which is probably 59 to 69% more than I would have hit had I not been emotionally healthier. So, because before, again, not blowing smoke, before I was emotionally healthier, I probably would hit 5% of my goals for the year, maybe 10% of the goals for the year. And, of course, how does that feel? How does it feel? Or even worse, this is also the story of my life. January, oh man, we're in January, let's go, January. And set all these goals. And, 3 days later, I'm already back to my old habits. Or a week later, or man, on the far chance, a month later, I'm back to my old habits again. And now I'm just walking out the same exact behavior pattern that I had the previous year, because nothing had changed in terms of my emotional health and my emotional intelligence. What is going on, EQ gangsters? So, man, we are wrapping up the year. Super excited for this episode. I'm going to be talking about goal setting and also setting up an emotional fitness plan for 2022. That is going to be the topic of this episode. I totally appreciate, again, everybody that has supported us, that has been connecting with us, sharing their stories, letting us be a part of your journey, letting me be a part of your journey, and you all being a part of my journey. Thank you for the encouraging messages, notes, thoughts. Just really appreciate it. For those of y'all that are actively growing your emotional intelligence and actively getting healthier emotionally, know that it is no small task. It is not like going to get a haircut, going to listen to a podcast, and all of a sudden you're emotionally healthy, or going to read a book on emotional intelligence, and all of a sudden, again, you're emotionally healthy and you're healed from all the emotional baggage and emotional injuries you've had throughout your life. It is a journey. It's a process. It is not an event. It is a marathon. I would even argue it's an ultra marathon. It's a marathon that doesn't end. So thank you again. And for those y'all, again, that have been following us, thank you for rating, reviewing, subscribing, sharing episodes that you feel have really spoke to you. Thank you for sharing that episode with a friend, with a family member. Check this neat story out. So I just wrapped up jiu-jitsu today, and today's class, wrapped up my class today, my jiu-jitsu class, and look at my phone, got a text from a guy that I met in 2018, y'all, in Virginia. 2018. So before we even moved to Colorado, I met him at a gas station. He looked like a military guy, and sure enough, I said, "Hey man, you military guy?" He's like, "Yeah, Marine." "Bro, thank you for your service. I love veterans. I love active duty and military folks, veterans, and helping out and everything." Well, anyway, exchanged contact information. He just texted, and that was the last time we connected. He texted me today, "Noble, I met you at a Wawa gas station." For those of y'all on the East Coast are familiar with Wawa gas station in Virginia. And dude, I just realized I've been watching your YouTube channel. I didn't even realize that it was you that I had met three years ago. And I mean, it just blew me away. You have no idea, y'all. You have no idea the circles and the impact that you may be having with your life, with your message, with your story. And it was just a neat little story there. So just wanted to share that kind of encouraging thing. I've got a neat Brazilian Jiu Jitsu story for you as well, too. So well, I'll expound on this later, but one of my buddies said, Noble, he just told me today, I think I still have PTSD from rolling with you when I was a white belt. So I was like, oh man, I'm not sure whether to be happy or sad, bro. So anyway, I'll go into more details. This episode is sponsored by Reach Up Magazine. Until Reach Up Magazine, there's been no publication expressly for marginalized, low-income, at-risk women across America. Reach Up is a one-of-a-kind print and digital magazine whose target readership is this overlooked yet huge segment of our society. The magazine's focus is to inspire women through articles of empowerment, offering practical training, education in an engaging format for mind, body, and soul, family and work relations, and more. The women respond to the glossy, colorful magazine that speaks directly to their felt needs and socioeconomic concerns, building an inherent sense of self-worth. They supply the magazines free of charge to nonprofits, small or large, that work with their target audience, whether providing food, shelter, or counsel in urban or rural areas, the result of which is a symbiotic connection, strengthening the relationship with each client. Growing the Reach Up team continually expands its life transformational, inspirational messages through videos, referrals, and resources. The mission statement of Reach Up Magazine exists to empower and uplift marginalized women by connecting them with the living God through life-transforming articles, resources, and inspiration. Vision statement of Reach Up Magazine. And for those of y'all on YouTube, you can see me reading this. So I'm going through their website, reachupmag.org. Reach Up Magazine envisions providing the 24 million women at or below the poverty level in the U.S., as well as those in other countries, with print and online resources that will cause positive life transformation for them and the generations to come. I actually know the founder, creator of Reach Up Magazine. It is actually my mother-in-law. Her name is Crystal. She actually worked in the inner city of New York City, inner city, for, man, I want to say close to a decade. And she just developed this love and passion for working with these women in the inner city, and had the vision, created this vision, like, man, you know what? How do I help them when I'm not here? How do I help them in between maybe their counseling appointments, or some of them, going to therapy or whatever? How can I still impact them and be a blessing to them? Anyway, Reach Up Magazine was her answer to that question. So phenomenal resource. She's an amazing lady, and it's really a blessing to a lot of women out there. So if you know anybody that could use that resource, again, check out reachupmag.org is her website, is the Reach Up Magazine website, and you can get all kinds of information on that ministry, that organization, that nonprofit at that website, reachupmag.org. Okay, so there I was rolling with this guy today. He's a white blue belt. So it's, some jiu-jitsu gyms have it, some jiu-jitsu gyms don't have it. It's in between a white and a blue belt. So you get white, 4 stripes on your white belt, and then then some places just go right to blue belt, and then 4 stripes on the blue belt, and then purple belt, 4 stripes on the purple belt, et cetera, et cetera. Well, at the gym I'm at Prime BJJ in Colorado Springs, highly recommend if you're in the Colorado Springs area. Prime BJJ, awesome. Professor Marcelo Mata is our professor, our main instructor professor. He's phenomenal guy. In fact, I've got a podcast episode earlier, probably 30, 40 maybe episodes ago. He's a 4th degree black belt. He is bad to the bone. Anyway, humble leader, just an amazing guy. Anyway, So at our gym, there's white belt, 4 stripes, and then it goes to a white blue belt. So it's like half white belt, half blue belt, and then, and then potentially 4 stripes, and then into the blue belt, 4 stripes, earn 4 stripes, and then on and on. So anyway, so I'm rolling with this guy, and I first roll with him when him and his crew were brand new white belts. He came in with the squad, and he's jacked, this dude, man. Super nice guy, jacked. Yeah, he is yoked. So anyway, so we roll today, and a lot of times, most of the time, because I'm bigger than most people at the gym, I just let everyone start in a dominant position, side control. And if you don't know anything about jiu-jitsu, just bear with these grammar terms here, these jiu-jitsu grammar terms and vocabulary. So I let them either start in side control or mount or back mount or whatever they want to start in. I don't care, knee on belly, whatever they want to start, and then we'll then I'll start rolling. And so, because again, I'm bigger than most people, and if you have a certain amount of technique and understanding of how to use your body, size can definitely be an advantage. Now, anyway, I'm not going to go into more details. All right, so the bottom line is this. So he and I rolled, and we touch hands. So you bump fists, bump hands before you start rolling. And I don't remember if it was 5-6 minute roll. He was already hyperventilating, and to his defense, he is not the only one that does this. There are other people who roll with me that almost immediately start hyperventilating, and I think I let him get on top, normally how I normally do it, and he's still breathing heavy. And everyone, the white belts that I roll with, I will tell you that I'm always telling them, guys, relax, just chill, like slow your breathing down. I'm twice most people's age at the gym. I'm way older, 10, 15, 20 years older than most people at the gym, and I can outlast many of them just because of my breathing. I in many of the roles, not all the roles, but in many roles, I could probably have a regular conversation with people while I'm rolling, because the goal is not to exert a whole bunch of energy. And I'm getting to a point here, just so you all know. And so anyway, so we're rolling, and he's hyperventilating, and I said, dude, he's breathing really heavy. I said, bro, just chill, like slow your breathing down. And there was some times he was in an offensive position. He had me in good positions, whatever. And I said, bro, just control your breathing. You got the position on me. Just stay calm. Okay, got it. And then he'd go right back to breathing heavy. And again, he is not the only person. And then I tell him again, hey, bro, chill. Just slow your breathing down. Relax. Okay, got it. And he'd go right back to heavy breathing. And so, boom, we finished the round, and he said, oh, man, I got to learn my frames. If I learn my frames, then I'll be able to breathe easier. I said, no, dude. In this case, the chicken comes before the egg. You got to control your breathing, or you'll never think about doing proper frames or there's another move called shrimping. I'm giving a lot of jiu-jitsu verbiage here. Just bear with me. So I say, if you stay in this emotionally hijacked state, you're going to have a very difficult time setting goals for your round with me, your jiu-jitsu round with me. You could go into it saying, okay, I'm gonna get frames on Noble, I'm gonna get a clock choke on Noble, I'm gonna do, take his back, whatever. You could have whatever goals you want for the 5 to 6 minute roll with me. But if you start the round emotionally hijacked, you'll never accomplish those goals. Because what happens is, when you're emotionally hijacked, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that, I say this quite a bit, that our brain goes to fight, flight, or freeze, which is what in jiu-jitsu, that's what happens when, folks start to panic. They get in a panic mode and they go into fight mode, because obviously we're rolling. So fortunately, many folks don't freeze or flee. They fight, which is, that's good. The downside of going into that survival mode is it comes from a place of panic, not peace and strength and technique and just being. And it's very difficult to, another jiu-jitsu term is flow roll. It's tough to get in the zone. It's tough to do deep work. It's tough to get in the flow state when your brain is only thinking about survival and fighting. Your brain gets tunnel. This is actual physiologically what happens. Your brain goes to tunnel vision, and you're just in survive mode. I'm panicking. I'm freaking out, and that's why I tell people, just relax, slow your breathing down. Okay, got it, Noble. And then they go right back to almost hyperventilating, breathing super, super heavy, is because their brain, they haven't, their emotional, their self-management has not reached a point where they can override that survival mechanism that kicks in when we're rolling. And I used to be the exact same way. It probably took me 2 or 3 months of the higher belts at my gym at Team Rock at Fort Bragg. Team Rock, if you're ever in Fort Bragg, highly recommend it. It's phenomenal. ROC, Team ROC, Reality of Combat gym, excellent gym, phenomenal instructors. But they told me, like, dude, because I would do the same thing, the white belt spaz. I would grab onto somebody, give them a bear hug, and like squeeze as hard as I could. And I had no idea what I was doing. And so I would just squeeze a little hard and try to use all my muscles. And then, 10 seconds later, I'm getting tapped out by, some ninja move. And so the same principle applies to our goal setting. And I haven't ever heard this before. So, I'm not saying that it's not out there. I'm sure I'm not the first guy to come up with this, but my goal setting accomplishment this past year has increased. And I wish I've got some goals that I set in January. I don't remember how many I hit. But in terms of my effectiveness in goal setting, it has gone up, I'm going to say at least 70%, and I'm just trying to be conservative. I'm not trying to be sanguine or exaggerate, or I'm really trying to be genuine and really think, but because I didn't do the math beforehand, but I think, no joke. Well, I mean, and I probably hit at least 60 to 70% of the goals that I set for this year, which is probably 59 to 69% more than I would have hit had I not been emotionally healthier. So, because before, again, not blowing smoke, before I was emotionally healthier, I probably would hit 5% of my goals for the year, maybe 10% of the goals for the year. And of course, how does that feel? How does it feel? Or even worse, this is also the story of my life. January, oh man, we're in January, let's go, January. And set all these goals. And, 3 days later, I'm already back to my old habits. Or a week later, or man, on the far, far chance, a month later, I'm back to my old habits again. And now I'm just walking out the same exact behavior pattern that I had the previous year, because nothing had changed in terms of my emotional health and my emotional intelligence. So what I want to really encourage you all is start this year with an emotional fitness program, with some goals specifically in the area of your emotional health and your emotional intelligence. And just that goal will help increase your effectiveness and productivity of hitting and accomplishing whatever other goals that you set for yourself. And again, we can't get upset at the goals we didn't hit because of the work we didn't do. We can't get upset at the goals we didn't hit for the work we didn't do. So if you say, yeah, no, but whatever, dude, I don't need that, all the, EQ, hocus pocus stuff. I mean, that's fine. Maybe you already hit 80, 90, 100% of your goals each year. And then if that's the case, then maybe you don't need an emotional fitness program. But for those of you that, set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 goals, however many goals you set for the year, and consistently find yourself falling short on a pretty consistent basis, week after week, month after month, year after year, I would strongly encourage you to pick up an emotional fitness program. And again, there's a book, I'm working on a book right now too, about the things I wish I had known when I first started my emotional fitness program. I mean, my emotional intelligence journey. Then I got a whole list of things, One of those is that I want to just manage your expectations. Again, and I said it from the beginning, your emotional fitness and emotional intelligence journey is not an event. It's not, okay, by the end of this year, I'm going to be healed from all my emotional baggage. No, even a year. I've been on this journey 3-4 years now. I told you my therapist, my counselor from 3 or 4 years ago, he was 66 years old at the time, had been counseling people for 25,000 hours. He'd been counseling people for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And he said, Noble, I'm still doing emotional healing every day. Every day I've got emotional exercises I'm doing. And I'm like, wow, dude, you're like the emotional Yoda. If you're doing these exercises, then it just helped me to as a type A guy, achiever, driver guy, it just helped manage my expectations. So for you, understand you are going to be a white belt in the area of your emotions, potentially for a year or two, depending on how much time, intention, effort, energy that you dedicate to the practice of getting healthier emotionally, becoming more emotionally intelligent. Okay. The other dynamic about goal setting and emotions is what is the emotional framework? What is the emotional foundation that you set and pursue your goals with? What is the emotional foundation? People just say, oh, well, again, my type A folks, and again, I love my type A folks out there, the choleric personality or the dominant personality, again, if you use the DISC model, just set the goal and accomplishment. Just make a commitment. Just make a promise to yourself, and you should do it. Okay, well, again, and maybe that personality, they can crush it all day, every day. It's too easy. For the rest of us, that our brains don't work like that, it's not that easy. Or again, let me speak for myself. It has not been that easy for me. And so why? There's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason. I was talking to one of my coaching clients earlier today. Man, this guy, he's just not getting his poop in a group. And I said, why? Well, because he's not putting the effort to it. Why? Well, because, I don't know, I know he can, but he's just not putting forth the effort. I said, okay, bro. I said, now this is where coaching comes in and leader development and mentorship. There's a reason why a high achiever, high performer is not high achieving and high performing. There's a reason. It's not just, well, I just chose to wake up and just be unsuccessful today. There's a reason. So it could be, and it could be a couple things, right? It could be the high achiever who's underachieving. It could be, it could be him, that particular person, man, woman, whoever it is. And it could be something emotional. There could be some emotional reason that person is not achieving in this particular area of their life. There could be some emotional deal that's going on beneath the surface that they're not even aware of. So how do we as leaders help bring the best out of those people around us? And let's start with ourselves too. So the other thing that it could be is, again, a lot of you know that I'm certified in 5 behaviors of a cohesive team by Patrick Lencioni, partnered with his publishing company called Wiley. They made this super awesome program from his book, from Patrick Lencioni's book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. They turned it into like a legit course and workshop that companies can bring into their organization to assess their teams in the 5 behaviors of a cohesive team. And so the other dynamic I said is with this particular gentleman is it could be that the leadership team has not held this person accountable. So there's a couple of different ways to look at that stuff. Anyway, my point in this episode is, what is the emotional foundation that you have as it pertains or relates to goal setting? What is this narrative? What are the emotions that you have? What is the narrative that you have? The stories that you tell yourself about goal setting, subconsciously, in many cases. And then what are the corresponding behaviors? What is your goal accomplishment rate? Are you 90 percentile? Are you 80s, 70s, 30s, 20s? Then another thing to look at is, what are the trends, right? Another thing to look at is, how long do you pursue those particular goals? Was it, again, like me, 3 days? You had an endurance rate of 3 days of pursuing a goal. Did you have 3 weeks? Were you 3 months, 6 months, 9 months? At what point in time did you fizzle? And why did you fizzle? What was the emotional framework, foundation, makeup around the fizzle? What led to that? What was the emotional lead up to you fizzling? And then what was the narrative? What were the narratives, the stories, the scripts that you told yourself when you fizzled? Pay attention to that stuff. Write that down. Journal all that. That's a gold mine, y'all. If you guys just do that kind of exercise right there, that's gold, gold, gold. Okay. Now, what does an emotional fitness program look like? So I've used this acronym a lot. I have gotten interviewed on probably 40 podcasts this past year, 2021, and I shared this on almost every episode. This is what an emotional fitness program looks like, and I call it Go A.P.E.D, A-P-E-D. Why Go A.P.E.D? Because, again, if you heard our story, when I was a kid and I stuffed and avoided my emotions, it was a cute, furry, feisty little monkey. And then after stuffing, avoiding, stewing, and brooding for 4 decades, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, feeding that cute, furry, feisty little monkey all my emotional injuries, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. Now that cute, furry, feisty little monkey is an 800-pound gorilla that I could no longer control. And you guys know the rest of the story. So that's why I call it Go A.P.E.D, the fitness program, for that analogy there. A is acknowledge your feelings and emotions. Acknowledge your feelings and emotions. 2 great ways to do that. Google emotion wheel. Print that emotion wheel out, put it on your desk, put it up in your office, put it on your refrigerator. Use that tool, that resource to grow your emotional vocabulary. The second thing in the acknowledge section there is it's called Mood Meter app. Mood Meter app. It's not my app. I don't know who designed it, developed it. I use it with most of my coaching clients. And I use it for myself. In fact, I just went over 60 days of consistency of you consistently using that app. And I think I've got 402 check-ins, emotional check-ins, which is I'm super stoked about. Check-ins where you figure out what your emotions are. And it's kind of like the emotion wheel, but it's just a digital kind of version of that. Another way to help acknowledge your emotions is to begin growing your emotional vocabulary. Well, how do you do that? I already talked about the emotion wheel, Mood Meter app. Listen to our podcast. Just the more you listen to my podcast, the more you'll become familiar with the verbiage of emotions, the language of emotions. So acknowledge your emotions. jot those down. Okay, acknowledge your emotions. P, permission to feel. Give yourself permission to feel. Set your watch alarm 60 to 90 seconds. I heard a 40-year psychologist say it takes the body 60 to 90 seconds to feel the fullness of an emotion. Once you acknowledge those emotions, what emotions you wrote down, what you're feeling based on that particular situation, event, scenario, memory, etc. It could be 3 emotions. It could be 15 emotions. It could be 50 emotions. Some of those emotions could be pleasant. Some of them could be unpleasant. All in the one dump of emotions. That one acknowledgement, you could have pleasant and unpleasant emotions all firing at the same time. So once you give yourself permission to feel, set your alarm 60 to 90 seconds. For 60 seconds, boom, allow yourself to feel sadness. What does sadness feel like? Feel sad for 60 seconds. And if you need the extra 30 seconds, go the full 90 seconds. The next emotion on your list is frustration. Boom, reset your watch alarm or your phone. Do another 60 seconds of of allowing yourself to feel frustrated for another 60 seconds. Then boom, next emotion is anger. 60 seconds, set that alarm. Boom, allow yourself to feel angry for 60 seconds. Next one is joy. Excuse me, right? Could be joy. The point is, give yourself permission to feel each of those emotions for 60 to 90 seconds. Excuse me. The next one, express, journal what you're feeling. There's 3 ways you can journal. There's probably more. Here's 3 that I recommend. 1, you can write journal entry to God. Hey God, this is how I'm feeling. I'm frustrated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm disappointed, I'm happy. Here's why, here's what's going on. Boom, journal to God. The second one you can do is just do bullet points. Bullet points of how you're feeling. A line here, frustrated that I got tapped 3 times in jiu-jitsu today. Sad that my daughter is going to North Carolina today. Happy that my daughter is going to North Carolina today, right? That's, happy and pleasant and unpleasant emotions. So bullet points. The third way that you can journal is actually write a letter to the person that you are feeling those emotions about. They could be living, they could even be dead. Write a letter. Now, here's the deal. Just because you write that letter, it doesn't mean you have to give that letter to them. Obviously, for those that are living, you don't have to give that letter to them. You can throw away the letter, you can burn it, you can file it, you can save it, whatever. There's power in intentionally feeling those emotions while communicating to them in writing. There's a lot of research on the power of journaling. So anyway, those are 3 ideas of how you can journal. Do whatever works for you. Last one is discuss. Discuss with somebody what you're feeling and how you're feeling. Here's a caution, note of caution. Make sure that person is safe and comfortable with maybe some of your bigger emotions or maybe more intense emotions. You don't want to open your heart to somebody pour your heart out to somebody that maybe is not emotionally available or is judgmental or is condemning or, is not super self or socially aware. You want to make sure that you communicate with somebody that is safe with your emotions. So, you may think, oh, it's my spouse. It's automatically my spouse, or it's automatically my best friend, or it may not automatically be. Your spouse may not be safe with your bigger emotions, especially if you've got a track record of you not being safe with your own emotions. Your spouse may not feel safe around your emotions because maybe you haven't been safe with your bigger emotions, and you don't have any self-management. Your self-awareness is low, your self-management is lower. And so, which was my story. My wife did not feel safe around me because of my emotional unpredictability. It literally every day was like an EKG monitor. 1 second I'm up, next second I'm down. Next second I'm up, next second I'm down. She had no idea. It was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on a daily basis. I mean, imagine the consequences of what that does to a relationship, what that does to a marriage, what that does to intimacy, what that does to communication, what that does to sharing, what that does to trust, what that does to rapport or whatever, right? It's just the consequences of being emotionally unstable are far reaching, y'all. So anyway, Go A.P.E.D. Acknowledge, permission, express, discuss. That's that tool, Go A.P.E.D, you can pull out once a day, few times a week, couple times a month, few times a month. Go at a pace. Now, what I do recommend is that you use it consistently. So not, hey, once a year I'm going to bust out Go A.P.E.D. No, you can use this with every event that you feel emotional about, or every memory that comes from the past out of nowhere that hits you hard. Pull out the Go A.P.E.D fitness exercise and use that on a consistent basis. And you will find that as you do that, your emotional resilience, your emotional bandwidth, your emotional capacity will all increase as a result of you doing this. It's not easy. It can feel uncomfortable. It can feel unpleasant, but realize you got to go through the emotions to get to the emotional freedom and the emotional strength and growth. You got to go through those unpleasant and uncomfortable emotions oftentimes. But again, go at a pace that you feel is sustainable. And then also, if you feel like, oh man, you're starting to get maybe a significant amount of anxiety doing this, if you need to, call a professional, get a legit counselor, call a psychologist, a therapist to help you work through some of those maybe bigger things that you need to go through. And another option, if you feel like, well, I don't necessarily feel like I need a psychologist or therapist at this point or counselor, then just pump the brakes on the exercise. Put the exercise down, wait until you kind of allow those emotions to kind of dissipate, which may take a few hours, it may take a day or two, it may take a week or two when you're ready, like, okay, so do this fitness exercise in bite size. Don't run the marathon all in one shot when you've never ran a marathon before. Go for a walk around your block with the Go A.P.E.D exercise. Start with something that's a smaller emotional experience that you had, and then gradually you'll be able to kind of work your way up to maybe some of the bigger things. So I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear if you do set any emotional goals. I would love to hear what your emotional goals are. You can send me an email, noble@eqgangster.com, noble@eqgangster.com. You can follow us on social media. You can hit us up on any of our social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. LinkedIn, it's just my name, Noble Gibbons, NobleGibbens. And you can hit me up on LinkedIn, wherever you can provide that feedback. That'd be great. Again, thank you for rating. Just take 15 seconds, y'all, if you would not mind. It really mean a lot. If you've got any value from any of my episodes or anything like that, just 15 seconds would be huge. 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds to just give us a rating, provide some feedback, some insight, maybe an epiphany that you got from your own emotional growth journey. Would love to hear from you. And if your company or organization needs emotional intelligent leadership coaching or needs some training or presentations on emotional intelligent leadership, please let me know. Again, noble@eqgangster.com, or just go to eqgangster.com and you'll be able to hit the button, contact us. So eqgangster.com. Emotionally healthy leaders create and lead to emotionally healthy cultures and organizations, which lead to maximized, healthy, productive outcomes and results. Emotionally healthy people help heal other people emotionally. Unaddressed emotional issues do not get better over time. They actually compound. If you don't deal with your emotional issues, your friends, family, coworkers will be forced to. You are worth it. Your emotional health and fitness is worth your time, and resources and investing into yourself in 2022 to make sure this is one of the best years you've ever had in your life. Hey, one more quick commercial. We are going to be doing a 5-day emotional intelligence, emotional fitness challenge in January. Please let your friends know, your family members know. It's going to be fun. We're going to have daily homework for 5 days to see if we can get everyone started their 2022 in a emotionally healthy trajectory to make it one of the best years of your life.